farmers. Stop treating farming as gambling and embrace contract farming. It is very hard to see a farmer who is making profit from his farming business. Why? Because most farmers embrace bandwagon and hard behavior. This is what happens. And I will start with the year 2022. In the year 2022, the prices for maize were very high and all farmers were very excited. So in 2023, something happened because farming of maize attracted every Tom, Dick and Harry. All farmers, most farmers, even sometimes tax drivers, border people, they went into farming of maize in 2023 because the price for maize for 2022 was very high. So in 2023, there was an oversupply of maize. Maize was flooded in the market. As it is usually the case, whenever there is an oversupply of anything, prices do go down. And prices for maize, in fact, went down. So farmers were very frustrated by the end of 2023, and they decided not to farm maize come 2024. So 2024, very few farmers engaged in maize farming. And what happened? Of course, there was an acute shortage of maize in 2024. And the few who farmed, because of low supply and by applying the forces of market, that whenever the supply is low, then the prices go up. Farmers who did farming of maize in 2024 went all the way to the banks laughing. So in 2025, all of us again, we went into maize farming because that decision was triggered by the maize prices that were very high in 2024. So in 2025, there was an oversupply of maize and prices of maize went down. And that, in fact, explains why the government was able to hit their target on inflation. Inflation, is persistent increase of prices of goods and services. And one of the prices whose price did not go up was for maize. Because of what? Oversupply of maize. So farmers have been treated in a roller coaster kind of an experience. Whenever there is an oversupply of maize, they receive and enjoy less reduced prices. But they choose to farm the following month or the following year. So in agriculture, there's something that is called production lag. And production lag happens when decisions by farmers are made based on the last year's prices instead of the current year's prices. And by the time they are making the decision to farm, they are not very sure about the prices of the current year. But I normally find it is quite simple. If you understand that is the hard behavior of farmers, that every other time there is a good price. Every other time there is a good price, for instance, in 2022, you would expect that most farmers would behave and adopt the hard behavior. In 2023, you would see many farmers jumping into maize farming. But as a smart farmer, you would avoid maize farming and perhaps do beans farming, because maize farming in 2023 will be done by every Tom, Dick and Harry, and the prices would go down. So the story is about going the opposite direction. When the crowd is moving east, you should always try to move west, but not just for the sake of doing it, but you should use market data instead of guessing or speculating the market. So there's a concept I want to introduce referred to as contract farming. Contract farming is a form of forward contracting, and this is whereby a person is able to fix a price. A person is able to fix a future price today. Contract farming or forward contracting is the process in which a person, that is a seller, is able to lock in a price that they will sell their produce or products at a future date. Let me break it down. We are in February. You can agree as a farmer with maize millers that I will supply you 100 bags of maize at a cost of 3,000. So we are in February, but you have been able to lock the price that you'll sell each bag of maize you'll supply to a certain miller. That is contract farming. It is a type of forward contract. The good thing with this is that the farmer is no longer guessing. In fact, he is responding to market demand. And when they incur as much expenses, they always know what revenue they will generate from this business. They stop guessing, they reduce uncertainty, the risk is reduced, even the quality of production increases because the farmer is no longer guessing. In terms of even financing, when you have a contract, when you have a farming contract, and you go to most banks, most financial institutions, they will listen to you more and better compared to when they are not sure about the prices that will prevail the market by the time your produce is hitting the market. So farmers, you should be able to partner with processors. These are manufacturers, like now the millers, and strike a deal with them. It could be exporters. As we speak right now, the market that is opening up is for avocados export. And those farmers who have harsh avocados and the ones who had contracted and did contract farming, they are laughing all the way to the bank. But the ones who did not do not farm contracts by forward contracting, they are at the mercy of brokers. And you know the way brokers say. Brokers will tell you that the market for avocados as we speak right now is flooded. And they will want to push you to buy from you at the lowest price possible. But on the other hand, these brokers, when they go to sell to the exporters, they will tell the exporters how avocado prices are how avocado availability is very rare or is very low. And they will want to make the exporters believe there is short supply of avocados. And therefore, they will charge exporters high prices. But to you, farmer, low prices because they will lie to you that there are avocado supply everywhere. So instead of exposing yourself to the fate of the market or how brokers will treat you, it's better that you look for these exporters way in advance and sit them down, write and sign a forward contract that is referred as farming contract, and agree that for every kg of harsh avocados that I will produce, I will sell to you at X amount of money. And we are in February, so that by December or when the avocados market is opening up, you are not guessing. Even your mind is very decided and you are at peace. So look for these guys, the processors, the manufacturers, the exporters, and also the supermarkets. If you are a green grocer, if you are producing fruits, if you are doing eggs production, for heaven's sake, don't just produce aimlessly. Stop shooting in the air and do proper planning, because we say proper planning prevents poor performance. That is the power of 5 P's. Proper planning prevents poor performance. If you just produce aimlessly, thinking that the market will sort itself, you are headed in the wrong direction. Production nowadays, even when you go to a hotel, most hotels, they don't just cook food waiting for people to just in case that people will come. They are doing production just in case people do come, customers do come. That process, that method, that planning strategy has made most hotels to close down, where they were producing chapatis, cooking rice, and cooking every other type of food in large quantities, hoping that customers will come. That is called a just-in-case strategy. But most hotels nowadays, they embrace what is referred just-in-time strategy. So if it is beans, they usually boil beans and they don't fry. Or if it is meat is boiled, yes, but it has not been fried. So when you come, that's when they start preparing it. And they ensure that by the time they are presenting you the food is hot, very fresh, because it had not been cooked prior to your coming. That strategy is referred to as just-in-time strategy. And it is a strategy that most hotels are embracing, and now even the issues and chances of food poisoning have gone down. So if you are a farmer, for heaven's sake, stop guessing the market. Stop gambling with farming. There are better ways that you can do and go about farming business. You can form cooperatives. If it is egg farming, if it is hens farming, go and have a deal with Kenchik and tell Kenchik that I have the ability to supply you with 1,000 trays of egg. Then once you have put the pen to the paper, you have signed contract farming agreement. Now you can go and farm, knowing very well that the price for your produce, you have locked it in, and no one should be able to go against the contract. Let me tell you this. Let me explain to you what happens in the event that by the time you are supplying your maize or your hens to the Kenchik, or your meat to the Kenya Meat Commission, or your milk to KCC after doing the contract farming. This is what happens. Let's assume that in January 2026, you put a pen to the paper and signed a contract farming where you would supply you a bag of maize at a cost of 3,000 Kenya shillings in December to a certain miller. Then in December, the maize prices happen to be retailing for 2,000 Kenya shillings. Remember, you had an agreement with the miller to buy for you or from you at 3,000 Kenya shillings. The miller is bound and it is required by law to buy from you. They cannot decide to abandon you at that minute and they go to the market because a bag of maize is retailing for 2,000. But they had committed themselves in January 2026 to buy from you in December 2026 at a cost of 3,000. So if that happens, let me tell you, and it is very ironical, you cannot force that miller to buy from you. You cannot demand full price of your production. What you do, you are allowed to sell your maize at Kenya shillings 2,000 per bag instead of what you had contracted, what you had signed for with the miller, because now the miller has refused to buy from you. And remember, you have these many bags, maybe 1,000 bags. What do? You just sell each bag at the market price, that is 2,000. Then you go to court and sue the miller for the balance. That for every bag of maize that you are selling at 2,000, you had agreed with the miller to buy from you at 3,000. So for every bag, 1,000. So if you are talking about 1,000 bags, that is what you had produced. Multiplied by 1,000, we are talking about you suing the miller for 1 million Kenya shillings. And the farmers are protected, the laws are very clear, and you should be able to get justice, and the miller would be forced to compensate you for 1 million Kenya shillings. And this is the point, so that you don't get it wrong. You don't sue for 3 million. Even if your agreement with bags and each bag was to be sold or to be bought at 3,000 Kenya shillings, making 3 million Kenya shillings, in case the miller or the Kenchik person or the KCC or the Kenya Meat Commission refuses to buy your produce, you don't sue for full price. You sell what you have at the market price, then you sue for the difference. Don't allow your meat to rot. Don't allow your hens to go bad. Don't allow your maize to deteriorate in value. You sell. If you had agreed in December and the miller has refused, the Kenchic person has refused, just sell at the prevailing market price and then go to the court. And nowadays we have those courts that are called small claims courts, and you prosecute your case and the miller will be required to compensate you. So stop second guessing the market, stop speculating, stop hoping that the market will behave the best way for you, because hope is not a strategy. If anything, just form cooperatives as farmers, or you personally visit exporters, visit processors, manufacturers, or even supermarkets and make deals with them. When you do contract farming, what you are doing is you are not guessing the market, you are responding to a specific demand. And even if you go to the bank, financing will be very easy for you, because even the bank, they will not be fearing your strategy, because your strategy is not based on guesswork, but there is certainty. When you better, you do better.